And welcome everyone to the SoCalBio Media Panel. I'll be the moderator, as Ahmed mentioned. My name is Erik Deutsch, and I'm principal of ExcelPR Group. And we're a boutique public relations agency based here in Los Angeles. We work with a number of clients in healthcare, medical devices, and the life sciences. And as the moderator, I'm very excited. I'm also very grateful because we have a fantastic panel lined up here tonight. Every one of these individuals is a true professional, and I'm sure they'll add a lot of worthwhile perspectives to the discussion tonight. It's important to note that tonight's panel is focused on traditional media, and that is a fairly new term that has come to mean television, radio, print newspapers, and magazines, and their online components. And there have been a lot of changes in the traditional media business in recent years, as there have been changes in my business, which is public relations. The common theme, though, to these changes is the advent of online social media. And by that, I'm talking about Facebook and Twitter and MySpace and LinkedIn and blogging and citizen journalism. All of that has had a real profound impact on how we do business. And it's interesting to note that all of our clients, including our medical device and biotech clients, want us to find new ways to use online social media to target audiences directly. And what's really interesting about that is, by definition, they essentially want us to bypass these wonderful people in traditional media. So it's a really interesting time in public relations. There is a lot of excitement about social media, and it's very well founded. The opportunities are tremendous. But what often gets overlooked amid all the excitement is the fact that there is absolutely no substitute for publicity in the traditional media, especially for companies in industries like biotech and medical devices. So it's really important to keep that in mind. Now, from a show of hands, how many people here have actually dealt directly with the media, whether in terms of being interviewed or doing what I do, pitching media? Well, that's quite a few. Okay. Well, for all of you who have a little bit of experience, as well as for those of you who maybe have never done it before, I think you're going to definitely enjoy our introduction tonight. And the introduction is from Mark Bernheimer, who's at the far end of the panel. And Mark is a little bit different from the other panelists in that he does not currently work in the media. Now, he did spend most of his life there. And most recently, he was a correspondent with CNN in the LA Bureau. But Mark is currently a consultant. He has his own enterprise called MediaWorks Resource Group. And what he does is train people to deal effectively with the media, to refine their messages, and to make sure that when they deal with the media, they're doing it in an optimal way. And that's exactly what he's going to talk about during his introduction right now. Before the introduction, we have a brief series of videos which illustrate what can happen if you're not prepared.
Actually, Erik, if I could possibly start into that, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. So, Mark Bernheimer, everybody.
Little detail we forgot to work out before we started. I'm sorry, I spaced during the whole introduction thing. Could we do that one more time, starting with this table? Speaking of introductions, I think it would be remiss if I didn't point out that the only one among you who managed to work your company's URL into your elevator pitch was also the only person in this room who I have media trained. Right over there. Thank you. As a former journalist and current media consultant, I sort of find myself in a kind of purgatory. During the course of my day-to-day routine, I'm just as likely to find myself fiercely defending the media as I am cautioning my clients to beware of them. And that is because there's a lot of misunderstanding surrounding reporters and what they do for a living. Reporters are not looking for scandal and controversy and dirt. They are looking for a story. And it just so happens that many good stories contain a lot of scandal and controversy and dirt, but not all the time. Here's something else a good story contains: an inherent opportunity for you, the interviewee. It's an opportunity to deliver your messages to stockholders, to your partners, your customers, even regulators. During an interview, the reporter is not your audience. A reporter is just a conduit to your ultimate audience, which of course is the public. And many people, for some reason, seem to forget that. The reporter is the conduit, not the ultimate audience. The most important lesson that I share with my clients is that a news interview is not a Q&A session. It feels that way, it's structured that way, but if you approach a news interview in a purely reactive posture, you're going to let the reporter get everything they probably need out of the encounter, and you're probably not going to get anything that you need. And it's impossible to be proactive, to approach a news interview with the right mentality if you're not prepared. So to Erik's point earlier, we do have a couple of videos to show you tonight that demonstrate together the crucial importance of preparedness. This is not a media training session today. It's a panel. But I will tell you one thing. The second of those 3 clips is one that I use in every one of my training sessions, and it has helped me develop what I think is a proprietary media training concept in all the world called the 10 Commandments Principle. The 10 Commandments Principle states that if you are a congressman whose only real distinction is that you would like to see the 10 Commandments put in public buildings, do you think you ought to know what the 10 Commandments are? Not necessarily because somebody like Stephen Colbert, a comedian, not a reporter, is going to ask you to enumerate them, but because it's hard to make a compelling point to support your messages if you don't know what you're talking about. Okay? And by the way, you think 9 years back to when George W. Bush ran for his first term in office, he found himself across the table from a local reporter who began quizzing him on the names of heads of state of other countries. You may or may not remember this, but he didn't know most of them, including the president of Pakistan at the time, Pervez Musharraf, who would go on to be a rather important ally of the United States a short time later. So knowing what you're talking about is pretty important. If you don't, there's no amount of media training. There are no panels like this in the world that are going to help you when you deal with reporters. And these, of course, were pretty extreme examples. Only one of them was a bona fide news interview. But taken in aggregate, I think they make a pretty good case for the importance of being prepared in general. A news interview carries with it hazards, responsibilities, and tremendous opportunities. And the work you do before a news interview will determine whether you end up looking like that or whether you master your interview. And that work begins tonight. So, without any further delay, I do want to turn it over back to Erik and the distinguished panel for, I think, what could be a tremendous opportunity for everybody in the room, an opportunity to learn more about the journalists who cover your industry so that you can work together in ways which will help everyone. Thanks.
Great. Mark, I think you took my
did I take your
my
notes?
notes. Yeah.